Good morning, everyone. So I wanted to give a little update of everything that I've been writing down over the summer, as I've been having a little break from interviews and recording. I've actually been really busy with clients and really busy with keeping an eye on the progress of what's happening all around, and trying to make sense of where we are in terms of the awakening and what's ahead of us. So in my last interview, before I went away for the summer, I talked about how they'd given me information about this secret army that was being put together, or had already been put together for some time, and how they were comprised of about 120,000 personnel, and this military personnel had their identities changed so that they could remain anonymous, and that this secret army was made up of agents and soldiers, doctors, scientists and advisors. And then recently I had this vision come in about 2 weeks ago, where I saw this military moving into position in what seemed like the southern parts of America. And I wanted to make a few more inquiries into what that might be about. So I've got some notes here that I would like to read out to you, so that you can hear what they said to me when I was asking about, is there a secret army? Is there a strategic plan that currently now being put into operation? And what is that all going to entail and look like? So what they said to me was that the vision of the military was assigned to show that military maneuvers are already taking place on the ground in the USA. And I said, why are there military maneuvers at this time? And they said that the military are currently preparing a new army, a new military for 2022. I think this is in addition to the 120,000 personnel that I saw before. So I think this is in addition to that secret army. They said that going forwards, this new military, which will be set up in 2022, they will recognise a new constitutional setup which serves we the people. And it will be a military to serve solely the people's interests beyond any political influence. And it will take its direction from General Flynn and the now reintroduced and revised version of the Declaration of Independence from 1776, but it will have updates to encompass the pressing and more modern day agendas and politics which have been harmful to the founding principles and precepts of the original Declaration of Independence document and legislation. So I asked again, are the white hats in control? And again, they've said to me, absolutely. All operational control is being managed by the white hats now. So I've been told this for some time, that even though there's a huge amount of disinformation out there and things that look very fearful, this is all just part of the awakening process. The white hats have operational control. So they've been explaining to me that there's going to be a new devolved government in the future, and that the powers will be devolved down to the people. And so we're moving away from a two-party system to just a one-party system, if it's even going to be called a party. So I wanted to ask, what stage of devolved government are we currently at in the USA? And they said that we are at the beginning of a process to devolve government to the people, including all assets. So, for example, gold and property and naturally occurring resources like oil and diamonds. And I said, so how will this devolution look going forward? And they said that there's going to be a dismantling of all old structures and paradigms which currently create divides either through their politics or religion or gender or disability or ethnicity. All that is going to be dismantled, and all the old structures and paradigms will now start moving towards something called oneness or unity consciousness. So I said, will there be a new constitution or a reform of the constitution or the legal frameworks? So, for example, will there be a change to the Declaration of Independence from 1776? And they said that a new framework is being drawn up around the world. The alliance is headed up by Trump, and they're working 24/7 to get this working template into action to incorporate the new quantum system of information exchange, which will be Starlink, and a gold-backed digital currency. They told me that all frameworks are designed to give the power and decision-making back to the people. They said that all the audits and all the things that are going on currently with class actions, Afghanistan, all these different things that are going on which we still are waiting on answers for, the FDA, they're saying that these are all distractions to allow time for them to engage the world in adopting the new frameworks, to help people awaken and to steady the light for what is now ahead. And I said, steady the light. And they said yes, to ground and stabilize all the good work already in action around the globe. A step-by-step process, not too fast, not too slow, a delicate balance of keeping the consciousness high and steady. So then I wanted to know, how close are we to this devolution plan being made public? And they said that this is ongoing and will not be finalised in its entirety for many years. So then I said, does this mean that people will be in lockdowns and have misinformation for all that time? And they said no, that the public and the masses will be involved soon in getting this vast project grounded. And I said, how is this going to look? And they said that on the ground, the government structures, the financial institutions, political parties, education and technology will all start to change. And I said, but when will the people be hands-on involved in this new devolved system? And they said by 2032, the system will be fully operational. So then I said, what will be the first sign to the people en masse that worldwide devolution of power to the people is actually occurring? And they said that the exact process is not public yet, but it will be announced once Trump's election results are confirmed publicly. So then I asked them, so how and when will these results be announced? Will the media capitulate and announce the true information? And they said, not yet. There are other parts of the strategy to implement before the official election results will be made public. So if you want to see the details of that more fully, then please visit the video that I made earlier today with Amy Satori, where we talk all about when is Trump going to return, and it covers what I'm talking about now in a bit more detail. I then asked what are the next steps of the strategy as an overview, and they said one aspect will involve Biden officially stepping down, the Democratic being officially dissolved, the Republican Party being dissolved, military law, a new system like Nasara or Jasara, the quantum financial system going live. And then they said there will be much rejoicing worldwide and world peace. So then I just wanted to know how the galactics and Gaia may be helping us at this time with expansions in consciousness, because this opening up and this movement towards devolution is mostly about the awakening of the collective consciousness. They have told me this a number of times. So I said, how are the galactics and Gaia helping with the expansion of consciousness right now? And they said that as the energies from the galactics reach people, then these energies are absorbed into their spiritual hearts, and upon receiving a certain quota of this light and this love, then they start to awaken. They said sometimes this is happening consciously through a determined effort and spiritual practice, but mostly it is happening through a subconscious awareness that the general population is unable to articulate or understand at this time. So they're saying that some people are obviously actively in spiritual practice and are receiving love and light that way, but the people that aren't necessarily consciously practicing a spiritual routine are also receiving this love and light, even though at this time they might not be able to consciously articulate that that's happening for them. So then I asked, is this awakening process an organic expansion of love and light from the entire universe, then entering into an individual soul? And they said yes and no. They said the love and light, the sonics and harmonics, are received from the universe to aid an expansion in consciousness, but also the soul contract has to be ready at an agreed moment to acknowledge this upgrade of spiritual information, and only the soul can decide when the time is right. So I asked them, does this mean that anything and everything an awakened soul does or says is pointless? So if we keep trying to speak information to people, if their soul contract is not ready, are we helping at all? And they said no. The words and vibrations plant in and around the universe when we speak, like seeds, and at the correct moment these seeds will germinate and grow into an awakening. But the seeds in many, they are saying, can remain dormant until their individual soul decides to awaken. And this is a predetermined point in time. They're saying that sometimes groups of souls have decided to wake up at exactly the same time in order to fulfill their divine purpose. They said that our divine purpose is always to serve, and when groups of souls awaken en masse, they serve humanity through their expanded consciousness and light. And light is wisdom. And this wisdom will then again be planted like seeds as the awakened souls then go about their lives with an open heart. And then at a predetermined point in time, more souls will awaken, and then these seeds also begin to flourish and grow, and so the process continues. So it's not pointless for us to spread words of encouragement and truth, as long as we're not trying to force anyone to accept those truths in our time frame. So it's okay to speak your truth and to try and point out things that maybe you can see at the moment, but you don't need to be worrying about when that may be received from the other person or people, because you are just planting the seed, and that's all you need to do. You just plant the seed, and then you just allow their soul contract to germinate that seed at the appropriate time, which will be decided by their soul. I then wanted to ask, in order to reach the golden age, do we need consciousness and the technology of, say, Starlink or Tesla to be combined with our consciousness? And they said yes and no. They said initially that technology used by the white hats could help to harness consciousness in line with the golden age. But they said as humanity awakens, then the need for any additional assistance will dissolve as human consciousness will reach levels of self-sufficiency whereby the people will be able to sustain a fine and pure vibration without the need for technology to assist them in that way. I asked, what is the level of light or consciousness that is being held collectively at this current time? They said at this current time we have 65% light, but it is fluctuating dependent on many factors, including the weather, politics, culture, and programs or stories that are running on TV. So we do have a 65% collective light, but they're saying that it does fluctuate up and down. Then I said, does the consciousness affect how vaccines might be responding in people's bodies? And they said yes and no. They said that consciousness affects the unraveling of latent skills within our DNA, but is not necessarily activated. But this DNA is not necessarily activated until the soul decides. So then I said, how does a soul decide? And they said, before incarnation, a soul will decide if or what level of consciousness or light is required before it awakens. An awakened soul would not accept and untested its soul vibration would know instinctively to refuse it. I then asked them what we can do at this time to help ourselves to absorb this light that's coming in, these high density levels of light, which are helping us to ascend, which are transforming our molecular structure. And how can that help us at this time? Because a lot of us are getting symptoms from this ascension process. The ones of us that are on the ascension pathway particularly are finding this process quite hard work. So they just wanted to remind us to drink more pure water, herbal tea, to eat organic food, to surround ourselves with plenty of crystals and plants and animals, to rest and meditate in nature. They also said that potassium and magnesium or tissue salts as a supplement would help. They said rest as and when necessary, and do not strive, just be, just try to be, don't force it. I then asked them, what is going on in Afghanistan at the moment, why the Afghanistan move at this time. And they told me that in order for the Nasara Jasara to be implemented, that there must be like a worldwide peace with no war, conflict or instability. They said that the process is now allowing for the final tipping point in Afghanistan so that it can rebalance and it will be returned to its original culture and religion. They said without the USA or outside interference, the alliance can rebuild and restructure from the inside, making the country autonomous in its own right, giving it the freedoms to naturally progress at its own pace into a region of peace. They said that the alliance is encouraging people to return to their home countries and cultures so that age-old traditions can be maintained without outside interference. I then asked, what about the supposed human rights violations that we're hearing about within Afghanistan? And they said to me that as the lands return to peace, the collective consciousness will continue to rise and old paradigms will disappear. As hearts open, the programming of gender, age, disability, religion will gradually disappear, and at the fifth dimension consciousness, which is the age of love, these old paradigms, which are based on false programming, will disappear. But each sovereign being needs to play their part in being a thread in the tapestry. Each nation, each country, and each being all has its part to play. Sometimes change looks chaotic, as all the now fresh pieces and ideas are moved into place. So I said, but won't lives be lost during this restructuring? And they said that any souls lost will have agreed at a soul level to help align each nation with the vibration of love by showing people what they don't want, so they can move more quickly into re-establishing solid ground for the future based on solid values and a desire to be in peace without outside interference from other nations or armies. I asked, is this process delaying the official return of the Trump team or the new administration in the USA? And they said yes and no. So I asked them to explain, and they said that the USA is strategically moving through its plan at a pace that is safe for humanity. The speed of execution of this plan is not as important, they said, as the need to get things accurate and completed safely. They said that the new administration, the new setup, will be announced and known to the masses once the remaining points on the strategic list are completed. And I asked them, what are the strategic points? Could they tell me? They said there are a number of major moves still to be implemented to secure each country and nation into their zone before the new administration can be announced to the masses in the USA. I then asked, how will the world look for the kids as we go forward? They said that the world going forward is going to be a playground of love, peace and joy, and new technologies yet unknown to the masses will make all aspects of being a child more happy, from the birthing experience to education, and that pets will be allowed into education centres, and that there'll be more clean and open play areas with more clean nature and toys with nano interfaces. And I asked them, what is a nano interface? I'm learning all the time as well. They said a nano interface is where a child's needs, emotions allow the technology to create unique learner/child-based learning with opportunities that are unique to each child's abilities and natural traits or interests. So they said, for example, if a child excels at language, the program will further enhance these skills in a creative way, and that the focus will be on what is a child instinctively good at, rather than following a prescribed curriculum. That later on, this will then guide them towards how their natural aptitude can be used in service to humanity. Then I said, can you explain about nanotechnology and how a lot of fear around it is not necessary? What are its benefits, for example? Because what I keep being told and understand is that technology is not good or bad. Technology is only as good or bad as the people that are in control of it. So one example they gave me of a good nanotechnology would be something like a cochlear ear implant. They said that nanotechnology is the study of matter at the atomic and molecular scale. So this can create electronic devices, catalysts and sensors. And I said to them, is this what the age of Aquarius is? Is it the technological age? And they said yes. And I said, in what ways will we see technology changing going forwards in the next 10 years? And they said, over the next 10 years, and with the implementation of nanotechnology, they said that many areas of our daily lives are going to change. So, for example, they said the energy in our homes will change from electric lighting to, say, solar. Or they're saying that the nanotechnology will affect the electric, the lighting, and maybe the solar. They're saying that teaching will change as we start to use these nano interfaces, which will include implants or virtual reality. The implants, I think they're referring there to maybe things like the cochlear ear implants. I don't think they're referring to us having, you know, technology necessarily implanted into us so that we can be programmed. The transport system, they said there will be faster trains and flying cars as we implement nanotechnology, and there will be new computing and financial interfaces, particularly with the quantum banking. They said there'll be changes in medicine. They said that the future military strategy will be less focused on ammunition and weapons arsenal, but more concerned with strategy to allow nations to remain peaceful and symbiotic in their relationship to each other. They said politically, leaders will start to work together without suspicion in the new age of love, as the technology will take away the need to protect borders and resources. And I said, resources, what resources might that be? And they said petrol or oil, for example. They said these won't be necessary in the future. So finally for today, I wanted to ask, is this storyline that's going on all around us, is it for the awakened people or for the sleepers? And they said it's actually for both. They're saying that the awakened need to learn patience and perseverance and compassion, and that the sleepers need to learn to trust that there is always more than meets the eye. So I hope you've enjoyed that quick update today. As I said, I've done a video with Amy Satori, and you can have a look at that later on today. I think it's coming out at 7 p.m. UK time. And as always, I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.